Hi, welcome, good evening. So like Jennifer said, I'm Jocelyn Bonadillo de Freitas. I'm a new host at WQXR and a new face here at the Greene Space. And I'm very especially excited to be part of this particular night of Arturo's residency because he's compiled and handpicked this amazing roster of musicians, composers, poets, dancers under the theme of friends and foes, or as we have been calling them, frenemies. I think everybody has a frenemy. I have a few. And talking about what the value of a frenemy is, it's somebody who challenges you, somebody who you love but also can't stand not arguing with, somebody who makes you think outside the box. You have enough respect for them that when their opinion disagrees with yours, you have to sort of step back and reconsider things. And I think that in a time where all of our online time is spent, whether we like it or not, a lot programmed by algorithms that basically just reinforce our opinions, our biases, things we've already said that we like, and opinions that we already hold so dear. The opportunity to engage with people who challenge us intellectually, artistically, and then on Arturo's level is a real treat, a real delight. So we're gonna have a lot of duos tonight. Arturo will come up and he'll engage artistically, musically with one of these handpicked collaborators, and then we'll have the briefest of discussions where hopefully we'll get into some of the juicy bits of being considered a frenemy of somebody. And I will do my best to moderate and rein in those conversations, time willing. And before we start the show, I just wanted to read the briefest of quotes that I found really salient for tonight's program. It's from none other than James Baldwin. It's very short. James writes, "My point of view certainly is formed by my history, and it is probable that only a creature despised by history finds history a questionable manner. On the other hand, people who imagine that history flatters them, as it does indeed, since they wrote it, are impaled on their history, like a butterfly on a pin, and become incapable of seeing or changing themselves or the world." So in the spirit of seeing things differently, of changing our opinions, changing ourselves, and changing the world, please welcome to the stage Arturo O'Farrill.
The first conflict in my life that I really came across was the fact that I really wanted to play the piano well, and I couldn't. And there was a process to get there, which was called practicing, which I hated with a passion. And so our first frenemy as musicians is usually Miss Steinway, or in this case, Miss Fazioli, who every day of my life looks at me and goes, "Want to dance?" And like a fool, every day I go, "Yes, baby, let's dance." Then I sit down and we tussle, we tango for about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 if I'm lucky. And at the end of that process, I go, "You win, but I live to dance again." And so that's one of the first of the frenemies that I'm going to identify. I'm going to bring out a friend of mine who I've been playing with for probably 20 years, 30 years. And, well, he's one of the great and most beloved trumpet players in New York City. And when young musicians speak about him, they go, "Seneca Black." So please help me to welcome the great Seneca Black. Arturo! Thank you, Arturo! We need to build the wall. We will build that wall, Arturo.
No Russian collusion. Witch hunt. Witch hunt. Arturo! A lot of people have been asking me, Arturo, how was it golfing with Tiger and Jack Nicklaus? Good. Tiger shot a 64. Can you believe that? A 64. Long and straight. Jack Nicklaus wasn't bad either.
This guy. Did he choose that song? You know that song has a shady racist history, right?
There is a minstrel quality to that. The
Did you choose
origins.
That song? Both of us. It was Arturo.
And Donald chose that tune as well.
What do you have to say for yourself? What are you doing?
Well, the point is that you can turn the very elements of ugliness into beauty, and sometimes when you take something and you face it and you really recognize what it is, you can transform it and you look at things honestly. And it's kind of, we've been doing this for several years, kind of doing music that's beautiful and using it to talk about things that a lot of people hide from. And so I'm very grateful for Seneca to do that for us.
I'm grateful for you, and I also have the urge to just kick you right off the stage. So you did a good impression. Now get the hell out of here.
No, he sits and he takes part. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, have you seen
Seneca Black, ladies and
Seneca
gentlemen.
Black, a.k.a. Donald Trump. All right. We're going to bring our next friend, frenemy, foe, all of the above, to the stage. He's really a legend in his own right. He really needs no particular introduction. Giant in the world of Latin jazz. Paquito D'Rivera. much. Thank you so much. Don't go away. Please stay. Please stay. Please stay. Please, we want to talk to you. So, welcome. Thank you so much for that. That was fantastic. I wish that would have gone on even longer. We want to talk to you a little bit about... I want to talk to you about your hat.
Well, this is the flag of Venezuela. And, yeah. My heart is with them, especially these days. I used to go there every single year to perform in a wonderful theater called the Teresa Carreño Theater that they are not used anymore for musical purposes. That's a different stuff. It's a different conversation. But I love the Venezuelans. I record most of Antonio Lauro's waltzes, originally for guitar. So I transcribe for the clarinet. And I love the music that they do. And for some reason, the music of Venezuela don't go out. Well, now it go out. But it's not the most well-known in the Latin American atmosphere, ambience, I don't know how you call that. It's all the music with less value are more better known than the music of Venezuela. They have fantastic music. I think it's the only Latin American country that they can dance in five. I don't know, in my opinion, I think they get drunk first or something. Okay, and then the bass is like a son montuno, but instead of instead of that, they do something is wrong, like you have a longer leg or something, Venezuela is a very special place for me, and I have in my heart the desire to one day go back and play there.
Chico played in Onda Nueva with Aldo Romero for many years.
Aldemaro Romero, right?
Yeah, and he spent a lot of time at that festival in Onda Nueva, and did a lot of. He loved. Chico's my father, Chico O'Farrill, and Paquito, and my father were very dear friends for many, many years, for many, many decades, and loved each other and love each other very much. Because as we were embracing just this evening, I told Paquito that Chico O'Farrill is smiling upon us right now.
Chico is very special. I never saw that, but it would be fantastic to see that couple together, Chico and Aldemaro. Aldemaro used to spend some time in Havana also, while Chico was playing a trumpet in Tropicana Orchestra.
Was he a terrible trumpet player?
Who, Chico?
Yeah.
I can't remember that because Chico was known as a writer, but if he was a terrible trumpet player, he was not playing with Armando Romeo.
I think he gave it up pretty early. I don't think the practicing thing worked for him either.
He was more into writing, but he was playing the Armando Romeo Orchestra, and we have so many good trumpet players there that I don't think Armando was going to hire somebody that doesn't play fair trumpet. I don't think he was Dizzy Gillespie or anything, but he played the trumpet.
Nobody's dizzy, but I have a photograph of a 24, 25-year-old Chico O'Farrill with the La Cuona Boys.
With the La Cuona Cuban Boys?
Yeah, they're traveling through Europe. And he's
Europe?
20, yeah, I have a picture of him.
Bebo Valdez used to play piano there later on.
That's right. Bebo, also deep friend of the O'Farrills and the Riveras.
Paquito, can you talk a little bit about making music in this political moment? Beyond, wearing the hat of a country that you're very much in support of musically, do you feel like any sort of political responsibility as a musician who's lived so much history, or any particular perspective on what's going on right now?
Usually, I don't mix politics with music. Usually. Unless you press me too much, and then I have to speak.
Okay.
But music. Remember that Leonard Bernstein said that the music, he was against what they call the script. Se dice así, Arturito, la música descriptiva.
Sí, description, narrative-driven music.
He didn't believe in that. The music, and many other composers also, they believe that music had its own value by itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, you can describe how Superman fly button. But that can be also Godzilla coming out of some other place. Yeah. So music is music, and sometimes it's better to keep it out of the politics. Some other times you have no choice, like now.
Paquito D'Rivera, ladies and gentlemen, please.
Okay, we're gonna ask you two to stay here, stick around. We have a dancer who's about to join us, Ayodele Casal, who is a New Yorican tap dancer. I don't want to introduce her too much because really her feet will do the talking. Please welcome her to the stage, Ayodele. Ayodele Casal. Wow. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes. That was phenomenal. Grab a mic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. If I was Marie Kondo and you guys were in my house, you get to stay. You sparked so much joy. Watching you was so joyful. Watching you was
I love
so
that.
joyful.
You know, that's what my name means.
You look really.
It means joy has arrived.
That's so. You are the embodiment of that. One of the most phenomenal parts about your story is that you didn't start dancing until you were 19 years old, which is just makes what you did that much more phenomenal.
I was obsessed. That's why.
And watching you guys kind of flow together, and you're obviously improvising and playing off of each other and kind of making it up as you go along. Can you talk about being in the flow? And also, you know, a lot of the handful, the very few, you know, world famous tap dancers that we think of are men.
Yes.
It's just like jazz, it's a very male dominated field. And so I'd also love if you talk a little bit about your journey discovering your own heroines in tap.
Oh, surely. Well, being in the flow, the first time I danced with Arturo was actually right here at the Greene Space last year, right? And it's so crazy because it was just, it felt like we had been playing together forever. And I think in order to be in the flow, you have to just be open to any possibility, I feel. I feel like it's, empty space can be scary for people, but for me, I love that it is like, it's freedom. It can go anywhere. I had no idea how it was gonna start. We talked about something before, but I don't even know what that was.
Little stride,
You know?
little Latin.
Yeah, so yeah, I think freedom, listening, and not judging, and bringing the playfulness and the joy is what, for me, it's about. To speak to the men or the women.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
Those in between.
And those in between.
And those in between.
Yeah, I mean, historically, yes. It can be said that it is a male-dominated form, but I think that that's changing. And I think that there have always been women there. And I think that I'm grateful for them. I just want to give a quick shout out to Miss Mabel Lee, one of our pioneers who just passed today. And she's an example because women like her, women like Louise Madison and women like Jenny Lagan and Lois Bright and God, Juanita Pitts, women who were in the 30s, 40s, and 50s really bringing their artistry and their full self to the stage and to the art form with little recognition.
Yeah.
And space. Like I think that I'm so thankful to have discovered them because they weren't on the tips of my mentors' tongues, you know. So I'm happy.
Thank you for bringing their spirit here tonight. That was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So grateful to have you here dancing. Well, one more round of applause for Adele, please.
Thank you, Arturo.
Love you.
Thank you, Jeff. I love you too.
We're gonna move on to our next frenemy, genre ignorant person who does not care. He's in every single band you can possibly imagine. Longtime collaborator of Arturo's, instrumentalist, phenomenal person. Stephen Bernstein, please welcome him to the stage. to ask you, just grab the mic right there. Thank you so much for that. That was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I got chills like very early on in the performance.
That's why we do what we do.
That's an absolutely beautiful song. And we were talking a little bit backstage about the fact that, you know, obviously the Beatles are not an American band, which like I don't think of them as because they had such a huge.
They're English.
They're English. But the time and the specific context for that song was obviously about civil rights, was related to, you know, Paul McCartney's desire to, I guess, speak directly to black women, but sort of in a veiled
I didn't
way.
know that. Is that true?
That's true.
Wow.
Black.
I only know the first. I didn't know any of the words, and then I saw the thing about heal your broken wings, and man, right now I was like, wow.
Blackbird.
Yeah. Okay. I just thought about healing people.
It's related.
Okay.
It's related.
Is it black people? That's why I said we use the word black in the name. That's pretty literal.
It is a little literal.
Wow.
And yet the meaning was sort of hidden all the same.
I guess so.
Well, okay, great.
Sorry.
We're learning things all the time.
Yeah.
No, but I wanted to know about what the song means to you.
Well, it's interesting because I grew up, you know, because Arturo wrote this little thing about what we're going to talk about. He wrote like civil rights and what's jazz, and I grew up in Berkeley, and I was like, and my dad went to Howard University, so like my mom took me to a Martin Luther King march when I was 6 months old. I moved to Berkeley in '69. And when I hang out with my friends who grew up in Queens, now I don't know if you have friends from Queens, but Queens, okay, they had the funk crew, right? And we in Berkeley, we had the funk crew because we had Sly and Tower Power, and Queens had their thing. But I always tell my friends from Queens, I said, yeah, but I went to Black Panther summer camp. And growing up in Berkeley, I just saw like every Jewish family had a signed copy of Soul on Ice because that's just the way we rolled in Berkeley.
Go on.
But now Artie wants us to get in a heavy conversation, so I'm going to tell you something heavy. I was just in Berkeley, and this was really heavy. I'm always proud of Berkeley because, I mean, you know, I always say, like, the Puerto Ricans in New York are more Jewish than the Jews in Berkeley. Because, like, if you grew up in Berkeley, you were just from Berkeley. It didn't matter. Like, if you were black and white or Jewish, we were Berkeley people. We were just ahead of the curve, you know. We had the best weed, we had yoga, we had recycling, we had vegetarianism. Before all you guys did. I'm just telling you this right now, okay? And I just felt like, you know, not that we were better, but we were superior. And
Steve,
we got to keep going.
what's with the sermon?
Oh, here's what I'm getting at. I just went there, and man, this is so messed up. I mean, now, you know, we've had this heavy issue with tent cities in Oakland, right? Everyone knows about this. But this is deep now. I'm in downtown Berkeley, and there's brand new condominiums, which I'm sure are like $3,000, $4,000 a month. And Artie, there are tents on the corner. And it freaked me out. So I'm wondering, here I am thinking like we had the answer. What the hell happened, Artie? Do you know? Can you just tell me what happened? Because it really freaked me out. It's like there's this literally tents on the corner in downtown Berkeley.
I can't tell you what happened, but I can tell you that it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with ideology. It has to do with greed and the inability of human beings to care about someone before themselves. And so that's a soul condition, you know, and some people like musicians and people who are in the arts are trying to communicate that when we love, that is the ultimate gift. And then we really care about others, that's when the world begins to change. And I know don't look that good right now, brother. Don't look that good right now, but we here.
All right. Love you, Artie.
Love you, Steve.
Thank you. All right, the next frenemy is not only an instrumentalist, he's also a poet. Please welcome to the stage Roy Nathanson.
Can I move the thing? There we go. Next. All right, good. Let's go.
about a song that I was never really able to play. All the things you are aren't enough to forestall the crashing financial headaches or late night battles over unused toothbrushes, unmunched lunches, lights not shut, surfaces not swept, or the existential morass around the kids' sagging pants. Even your promised touch of springtime can't protect us from the terrible job Leo did on the roof that caused the flood next to the garbage cans, which culminated in the tragic call to the roofer who really and truly fell. I wonder if I ever told you that there was a time when ripping through the chord pages of this old song afforded a guy a place of honor among young jazzers. How back then Sam Furness, Arturo knew Sam, Steve knew Sam. He was my go-to pilot, sitting next to me at the Henry Street Big Band, alto strapped to his side, all the things he was, achingly elegant, quiet, focused, a study in fire. Who could imagine that one day we'd attach those headphones to his fragile blue-gray beard 5 short months after the bad news? Mobley, Griffin, and Coltrane singing him into the breathless hush of evening from their golden bells. Things change. The song was never a favorite. Just another river to flop around in. Another impossible lawn made greener by someone else's eighth notes. And today, when we were cooking oatmeal, I heard Sonny Chris drive his Selmer through the angel glow that lights a star line. the angel glow that lights a starlight. I marveled at the metaphorical power of stars and how they rise over the bridges of all these old tunes, even glistening above our most tragic grooves. And I wondered what star Big Sam ended up on, and whether or not he's stuck with the Lamberson mouthpiece or switched back to the Summer Sea Star, opting for a slightly thinner line to thread a breathless heaven.
Beautiful.
Thanks, sweetie.
Thank you so much.
It just doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Is it working?
Works, yeah, it's better.
Okay, great.
It's good now.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about how your faith, or lack thereof, informs this interdisciplinary thing that you do?
Well, I do have, it's not lack thereof. There's no lack thereof. It's kind of the opposite of that. I do think that it's funny because, Steve was talking about the Jewish stuff, and it's true that, I grew up in Brooklyn. My brother died when I was in my early 20s, and I went down to, back to Brooklyn. I was in college to say Kaddish with all there was only old women and me in the old Brooklyn synagogue where I grew up, and I started giving a Marxist analysis of the Torah in this really old synagogue, and eventually it wasn't a good fit. But it's funny. So I have a real affection. I grew up with a lot of Yiddishkeit and all that. But I will say, in these days, more and more, like that poem is about a song that I couldn't really ever play well, and it's really about memory, and about this friend that we knew, Sam, who was a great saxophone player who died of cancer when he was 50, and I was there when he died, in the hospital. I was 49, and he's and we were right there, and I did have the headphones on him, and I never saw anybody die before, and I've had a lot of death in my family, and also living in New York, and in the AIDS time and all this. somehow I really think it's a time, in terms of faith, of everybody identifying themselves with failure, identifying themselves with death and failure, which are the most heartening and compassionate things. So we're not really interested in this tribe, my tribe, or that tribe. And that's corny shit, but it's what Berkeley was supposed to be about. And I will say that it's a time, it feels to me that it's important that words and breath and notes and all that stuff is one thing. And so that's why it's a poem. You know, and I thought, and that's why we kind of struggled through that song, which, you know, you hear Bird play that, and that's the song. That's not this song.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. One more time for Roy Nathanson. We're going to keep it moving. All of these conversations are ones I would love to delve into deeper, but we just don't have time. I'll take it for you. Our next frenemy is a dancer, choreographer. So we're going to move into another discipline. Ron K. Brown. Welcome to the stage. Got it? Okay, fantastic. That was amazing. That was amazing. Catch your breath. Take your breath. Yeah, take a second. Take a second. That was incredible. That was incredible. One more time. That was such a pleasure to see close up. Oh my goodness. I feel moved to go buy dance tickets. I feel moved to go see dance. So I know that you two have collaborated before. I was talking to Ron a little bit about that process. And that's okay. Yeah, whatever you need to do right now. Whatever you need to do. No, but we were talking about the fact that some of the music came first, sometimes the dance came first, and then sometimes it was like a back and forth literal exchange.
There's all kinds of processes that we went through to choreograph New Conversations, but they were guided by very succinct narrative principles that come from Afro-Yoruban orishas. And so the stories that these orishas have are very clear, and they have very specific things that they do. These orishas are very specific about how they function.
Gods
and so
and
they really dictate. Elegua is not going to have really sweet, soft music. You know what I mean? And some things that's very important. And Ron is a master of communicating broad themes with movement, which I think is sometimes interesting. I love, one day we were doing a talk, and he opened my heart because he talked about artist as journalist. And the artist is a journalist and teaches and bears witness and gives credence to things that are things that shouldn't be and all things. And so Ron has definitely, and in general, Ron is like that. He's just got heavy things to say.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because we have two, if we don't have lyrics, we have two wordless art forms, but you're talking about being a journalist. Mm-hmm. So how does text and words come into this process that Arturo is describing, or
so,
process of choreographing something?
Even playing today, right? I can only respond to, yes, the music, right, but the emotion of it, and that drive is where I go, and so that emotion has text to it, right? There's a word for surrender, struggle, right? Passion, right? For me as a choreographer, that resonates and comes out as a feeling and movement. Yeah, so I hear it, and then it's a word, and then I go like this. And so that's the freedom I find in choreographing. So I'm kind of off the hook. Just listen and obey.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a seat. Well, you've assembled a band of sorts. Somewhat of a motley crew.
I think someone should take a photo of this aggregation or aggravation, depending on how you saw the evening, because these great, brilliant, and marvelous superhero friends of mine probably won't ever be in the same room again. So please capture this moment if you can.
It's an incredibly diverse and talented group of people. So I know you have one more song that you want to play and involve everybody in their own capacity. And what song is that, and why have you chosen it?
The song is Obsesión by Pedro Flores, and it's a song about how love is crazy, makes you crazy, and brings you nothing but heartache and pleasure. And that's, okay, pleasure might have been the wrong word. In any case, the things in life that cause us deep, profound joy are sometimes clothed in the things that bring us contention, and the things that cause us growth are almost always hard to bear. But at the end of the process, I think that love is a crazy thing, and where there is love, there is nothing we can't handle.
So we don't know how this is going to go, right? None of us know what exactly is about to happen.
I am very happy you are playing Obsession and not Guantanamera again. Too fast, Paquito, too fast.
It's not an unopinionated group of people. So I'm gonna leave the stage because you guys need room to do this, I'm sure. So thank you so much. Oh, and before, can I do one final plug since we're gonna close the show with this final piece of music? If you want to come back to the Greene Space tomorrow, I'm hosting another event at the Greene Space tomorrow. It's also in a not dissimilar spirit. It's called Universal Language. We're going to have a string quartet. They're going to do some arrangements of Nina Simone and improvise a little bit. They'll be interviewed by another person in their field, a violinist, about kind of the state of classical music, some issues about representation and the limits of that genre. And then we're going to have a beautiful singer, Melanie Charles, who's coming out of the jazz tradition. She uses a lot of electronics. She has a beautiful stage presence, and she'll also be interviewed by another multi-instrumentalist about some of the limits of that genre, which we also kind of touched on tonight. So it's also experimental. It's also a lot of performance and conversation, and I would love to see you there. Regardless, thank you so much. You've been a wonderful audience. And without further ado, Obsession.